Okay, good day everybody. So today, ang pag-uusapan natin is all about cognitive disorders. So let's start off with the meaning of cognitive o yung tinatawag natin na cognition. So what do we mean by the term cognition? Cognition. So the term cognition describes a human's brain's ability to learn, think, and process information. Okay. So take note of the word learn and think. Okay. So napaka-importante niyan because it encompasses most of our brain activities. Ano? So pag sinabi kasi natin cognition, we are talking about a way on how a person think. Okay, so it's not just thinking. Kasama na rin dito yung learning process natin and also our ability to process information. Now, under cognition, meron tayong mga iba't ibang abilities. Okay, under condition, wherein we use our cognition in order for us to initiate these activities. Ano? So, unang-una na rito, number one is perception. Perception is yung sa Tagalog, yung tinatawag natin na pananaw. Ano ba yung pananaw natin? Ano? And perception actually affects our beliefs, our opinions. Ano? Another ability na under ng cognition is our attention. Okay, so how attentive are we? Okay, to a person speaking in front, to our surroundings, so on and so forth. Ano? Pangatlo, ito napaka-importante, memory is also under one of the abilities of cognition. Memory is very important because memory is who we are. Kung sino tayo ngayon is because of all the accumulated memory na naipon natin from before. Okay, so pang-apat, under cognition abilities is yung our reasoning. Okay, so paano ba tayo mag-reason out? Okay, under din dyan ang ating cognition abilities. Panglima, ito importante rin, is our problem solving skills natin. Ano? So under din dyan ang cognition abilities natin. Of course, the last one is yung comprehension. Pag sinabi natin comprehension, it is our level of understanding. And paano ba yung pagkakaintindi natin. Ano? Okay, now, a person suffering from cognitive disorders, as you can see, when we talk about cognition, napakaraming factors na under nito for us to live or for us to function properly from day to day. So pag nagkaroon ng disorder, it's going to be a very big problem, ano? It's going to be very devastating for the patient. So ano ba yung tinatawag natin na cognitive disorder? So cognitive disorders are mental conditions that cause people to have difficulty thinking clearly and precisely. They are generally marked by impaired awareness, perception, reasoning, memory, and even judgment. So basically, yung mga cognition abilities natin, maaapektuhan yan if a person is suffering from cognitive disorder. Pero hindi naman lahat, hindi naman ibig sabihin na yung ating perception, comprehension, yung binanggit ko kanina ay basta nagkaroon ka ng cognitive disorders, lahat yun apektado na. At least 2 or 3 of the cognition abilities will be affected for certain types of cognitive disorders. So there are 4 major categories of cognitive disorders. Ano-ano ba yung mga yun? Number 1, you have delirium. Number 2, dementia. Number 3, you have amnesia. And number 4, yung mga cognitive disorders na hindi nagpo-fall doon sa tatlong category natin. Ano? So those are the 4 categories of cognitive disorder which isa-isa natin pag-uusapan. Okay? Okay, unahin natin yung delirium. So ano ba yung tinatawag natin na delirium? Delirium is actually an acute confusional state. Take note of the word confusion. Ano ba yung ibig sabihin ng salita confusion? If a person is experiencing confusion, di ba para siyang malilito, di niya alam, para siyang sometimes nagpapanik kaya nga sometimes delirium, Okay? So, delirium is an acute, usually reversible brain disorder characterized by clouding of the consciousness and reduced ability to focus and maintain attention. So, ang kinaganda ng delirium class, it is usually reversible naman. Pero pag napabayaan, pwede siyang lumala. Pero in most cases, delirium can be reversible. Sometimes kasi ang cause ng delirium might be a trauma. Ayan, di ba? Possible yan. So, delirium came from the word de, which means out of or from, and lira, which means foro or track. So, ano ba ibig sabihin nun? Out of track. Kumbaga, wala ka sa linya. Wala ka sa linya. Wala ka sa normal na pag-iisip. So that is delirium. Okay? So what are the signs and symptoms ng delirium? So isa-isahin na natin. Ano? Number one, disturbed attention and awareness. Okay, so pag disturbed attention and awareness, ibig sabihin yan, hindi siya attentive, lack of focus yan, hindi siya aware kung ano nangyayari sa paligid niya due to possible, halimbawa, traumatic yung naging kanya experience. It's either nagkakaramdam siya ng anxiety or sometimes naman tulala na, ganyan. Kaya nagkakaroon ng disturbed attention and awareness. Okay, you also have reduced level of alertness and arousal. Okay, so yun nga, tulala na siya, hindi na siya makapag-focus. So therefore, yung level of alert na siya, hindi na siya ganun ka-alerto. Yung level of arousal is also reduced, meaning kahit na anong stimulus ang i-introduce mo, hindi siya apektado. Ano? So for a person suffering from delirium, there is also disturbance of sleep-wake cycle. So disturbed or yung pagtulog niya, hindi na maayos. So kadalasan dyan, normal dyan, sleepy during the daytime or natutulog sa umaga or antukin sa umaga. At paggabi naman, restless siya, hindi siya mapakali. Kaya sa gabi, hindi siya nakakatulog. Okay, a person of delirium can also suffer disorientation with time and place. Diba? Hindi niya alam kung anong araw na ba, kung anong oras na ba, kung asan ba siya. There can also be memory impairment, possible. May mga bagay na nire-repress niya or sinosuppress niya na hindi na niya maaalala. And because of this, there may be confabulation. Pag sinabi natin confabulation, nagmamanufacture siya ng story para bigyan niya ng gaps yung mapunan niya rather yung mga gap ng kanyang memorya. Halimbawa, let's say for example, nagkaroon siya ng traumatic experience, let's say na aksidente siya. Okay, and that causes delirium. And then all of a sudden, nalimutan niya yung aksidente niya. Okay, or nagkaroon siya ng memory impairment about the accident itself. Okay? So, ang gagawin niya ngayon, yung brain natin, magka-come up siya ng panibagong istorya which pupunan yung memory na nawala. Pwedeng sabihin niya, ano ginagawa ko rito? Bakit ako nandito sa gitna ng karsada? Okay? Kanina lang, nasa bahay ako, kausap ko yung nanay ko. Okay, possible yon. So, nag-confabulate, pinilapan. Kasi yung accident, nakalimutan niya. Okay? So, panganin, you have irrelevant speech. Okay, irrelevant speech, kung ano-ano na yung pinagsasabi niya na wala lang relationship doon sa nangyayari, or even if you ask him a question, iba na yung nagiging sagot, or pag kinakausap mo, iba na yung meaning out of out of track na nga, There's also perseveration or nagpa-perseverate siya, meaning yung sinasabi niya, paulit-ulit niyang sinasabi. Okay, there's also labile effect. Labile effect, ibig sabihin yan, mood swings, bago-bago yung mood niya. Minsan, tulala yan, and then afterwards, bigla na lang siyang magdidelirio or magsisigaw or magpapanik. Okay? So, what else? Ano pa? So, there's also possible of psychomotor agitation or psychomotor retardation. Pag psychomotor agitation, possible, maging restless yan, pacing, lakad dito, lakad doon, okay? Hindi mapakali, yon, right word, hindi siya mapakali. And you also have a possibility of psychomotor retardation. Pag psychomotor retardation naman, ito yung nakaupo lang, tulala, walang kibo, okay, that's psychomotor retardation naman. You also have atherexis. Pag atherexis, tawag natin yan, flapping tremor. Parang yung kamay, parang pag pinwestong ganyan, para siyang, gumaganyan siya, nagkakaroon siya ng flapping tremor. Okay? You also have reality distortions. So, iba na yung perception niya ng reality na nakikita niya. So, possibly, baka nagkaroon na rin siya ng mga hallucinations. Yan, You also have sensory misperception. Okay? And with periods of lucidity. When you say periods of lucidity, may mga time na normal siya at may mga time din na sinusumpong siya ng kanyang delirium. Okay, so what are the possible etiologies of delirium? Paano ba yung mga possible reason? So kanina, binanggit ko, possible trauma due to accident. Pwede yun. Okay, pero other etiologies are also considered. For example, hypoxemia and hypercarbia. Hypoxemia, decrease of oxygen. Okay, mababa ang oxygen sa dugo, meaning pwedeng maka-apekto ito sa ating cognition kasi utak, di ba? Pag lack of oxygen sa utak, possible yan. Okay? At syempre, pag merong hypoxemia, possible din na magkaroon ng hypercarbia. Hypercarbia is increased carbon dioxide naman, ano? Carbon dioxide is very toxic na pwede rin mag-cause ng damage sa atin. You also have hypoglycemia and hyperglycemia. So blood sugar level naman to, no? Pag hypoglycemia, decrease the sugar level. Pag hyperglycemia, increase naman ng sugar level, which both can possibly contribute to that may cause what we call this delirium, ano? Another one is hypotension and hypoperfusion. Hypotension, decreased blood pressure. Pag kasi decrease ang blood pressure natin, there is a decreased blood flow, which can in turn can lower the supply of oxygen in the brain. You also have dehydration. Again, pag dehydrated tayo, it may cause hypotension also, which can lower blood flow, which can again decrease oxygenation. Okay? You also have the different electrolyte disturbances natin, hyper. Okay, so hyponatremia, hypernatremia, hypocalcemia, hypercalcemia. Ayan, pag-aralan na natin yan before, ano? So, possible din yun. Another one is sepsis or infection. Okay, mga common na infection natin na pwede mag-cause ng delirium, possibly pneumonia and urinary tract infection. Alcohol and drug toxicity can also cause delirium in extreme amounts. Okay? And also yung withdrawal din, both for alcohol and drugs can cause delirium. For possible, there is also vitamin deficiencies, pwede rin mag-cause siya ng delirium natin. Ano pa? CNS lesion, yan, nabanggit ko na, yung injury kanina sa infection. Pag nagkaroon ng bruises or injury, yung CNS natin, especially the brain, pwede itong dapuan ng, pwede tayong, not dapuan, ano? Pwede tayong magkaroon ng delirium, ano? So, ano pa yung mga infection din, ano? CVA, subdural hematoma, meningitis, and also yung encephalitis natin can cause delirium also. Endocrinopathies for the thyroid and adrenal can also cause delirium. Cardiac diseases, mga myocardial infarction, congestive heart failure, and arrhythmia, which directly affect the flow of blood in our body, which can cause hypoxemia and hypercarbia. Possible din yung mag-cause ng delirium. And of course, increase and decrease body temperature in the form of hyperthermia or hypothermia can also cause delirium. Okay. So for the treatment naman, we have your non-pharmacological treatment of delirium. Ano ba yung mga possible na pwede natin gawin? Number one, you have to create a quiet and safe environment. Ano? Number one naman yan lagi. Ano? Yan yung ating top priority. Create tayo ng safe environment. So bakit quiet? Kasi you have to provide a quiet environment para ma-reduce natin yung trigger na magkakos ng kanyang delirium. Okay? Pangalawa, enlist the aid of the patient's family, especially if the patients can be violent or aggressive or combative. Okay, kasi tandaan nyo, you are nurses and in the eyes of the patient, strangers tayo, strangers. So, pag ganun, especially kung wala pang rapport and trust between the patient and the nurse, medyo mahirap. So, pag ganun yung case, enlist nyo yung aid ng patient's family para mas madaling i-handle si patient. There should be optimal level of stimulation with fixed day and night rhythm. When you say optimal level of stimulation, aside from providing a quiet place, make sure na meron ding, wag naman yung sobrang quiet, there should also be a proper stimulation for the patient. For example, pwede yung relaxing music. Okay, parang ganun, no? Kaya magbasa ng libro, manood ng TV, basta hindi siya hyper-stimulating. Okay? And you also have to promote mobility sa patient natin, especially yung merong psychomotor retardation. Okay? Relaxing music, nabanggit ko na rin kanina, para dun sa optimal level of stimulation. And aromatherapy, okay, yung gumagamit ng mga essential oils, okay, pwede rin natin gamitin yan, diba? Kasi mabango yun. Okay? And touch by person whom the patients feel at ease. Okay, so yung mga pinagkakatiwalaan niya, for example, yung kanyang family members. Yan. Okay, for the nursing interventions naman natin, for delirium, okay, so number one, again, provide safety to the client. Number one natin yan, ano? Pag ang client ninyo is aggressive, tanggalin nyo sa paligid niya yung possible na mag-cause ng injury, both for the patient and the people around the patient. Okay, pangalawa, you have to manage the confusion of the client. So how are you going to do that? First, speak in a calm manner with a clear low voice. Huwag kayong makikipagsigawan sa pasyente na may delirium. Ano? Speak calmly. Okay? Pangalawa, use simple sentences. Siyempre, the patient is already in a confusional state. So, lack focus yan, ano? So, therefore, simplihan nyo lang pakipag-usap sa kanya. Huwag kayong gagamit ng mga highfalutin words. Huwag kayong magbibigay ng mga overly complicated instructions sa pasyente. Make it simple. Okay, so pangatlo, allow adequate time for client to comprehend and respond. So, since the patient is confused na nga, when you talk to the patients, huwag nyo madaliin, hintayin yung sumagot, hintayin yung mag-response. Okay? Sunod, provide orienting verbal cues. And the last one is, again, supportive touch. Pangatlo, promote sleep and proper nutrition. Since the patient can be restless at night at hindi siya makatulog, and tulog naman na tulog sa umaga, hindi maganda yon. So, ang dapat mong gawin is create ka ng way para yung pasyente mo or promote mo rather or encourage mo rather ang pasyente na matulog sa gabi, okay, and gising siya dapat sa umaga. Iwasan yung magnanaping siya sa umaga, no? And of course, syempre, proper nutrition pa rin. Hindi naman natin pwedeng kalimutan yun, ano? Pang-apat, promote elimination pattern. So, defecating and urinating. Okay? Kung kailangan assistance ng pasyente, i-assist natin yan. Okay? Pang-lima, discourage daytime napping. Ayun, kagaya na binanggit ko sa inyo kanina. Para maayos yung kanyang sleeping pattern. Huwag niyo siyang hahayaang matulog sa umaga, ano? So, i-divert nyo yung kanyang attention. For example, halimbawa, encourage nilang mag-exercise ang pasyente instead of taking a nap. Kasi maganda talaga sa gabi siya matutulog. Ayun nga. And, kagaya nga nabanggit ko, encourage some exercises. Okay. Natin yung dementia. So, ano ba yung tinatawag natin na dementia? No? Okay, so dementia describes a group of symptoms affecting memory. Okay, so yun na yun, ano? So, memory. So, most cases, pag meron dementia, we are experiencing something that may cause memory loss. Ano? Thinking and social ability severely enough to interfere with daily functioning. Okay, so dementia indicates problem with at least two brain functions. Ano ba yun? Unang-una is yung memory nga, kagaya ng binigay sa inyo kanina, which may lead to memory loss. And because of memory loss, nagkakaroon tayo ng impaired judgment or language. And of course, because of this, inability to perform some daily activities. Kagaya nga ng binanggit ko, memory is who what we are. Diba? Ito yung tayo. Kasi ito yung what you call this, ito yung building blocks kung paano tayo naging tayo. Okay, memory ka. That's why it's very important. So, pag nagkaroon ng dementia and naapektuhan ang memory, that's a problem. Problema yan. So, ano ba yung symptoms ng dementia? Marami, ano? So, basta memory. Yan, tingnan natin, ano? Una-una rito is yung aphasia. Pag sinabi natin aphasia, an impairment of language affecting the production or comprehension of speech and the ability to read or write. Okay? So, pag aphasia, meaning naapektuhan yung meron kang memory loss and because of that memory loss, yung previously na na-learn mo, nakalimutan mo na, naapektuhan mo na. For example, halimbawa, nagkaroon ka ng impairment of language. Hindi ka na makapag-comprehend ng speech. Hindi ka na makapagsulat. Hindi ka na makapagbasa. Okay, why? Bakit? Paano ba kasi tayo natutong magbasa? Diba? Paano tayo natutong magsulat? Okay? Paano tayo natutong mag-comprehend? Diba? Noong mga bata tayo, nung nasa grade school tayo, tinuro sa atin yan. And because of that teaching, we learned and we retain that on our memory. Okay? Memory. And because nagkakaroon ka ng impairment of memory, possible na yung mga natutunan mo before, such as reading and writing, makalimutan mo. So because of that, pag ganun yung nangyari, pag language yung naapektuhan, ang tawag natin doon is aphasia. Okay? Aphraxia naman, pag ang nakakalimutan naman na or naapektuhan naman na because of dementia, is yung mga learned or familiar movements na dati mo namang ginagawa, bigla mo na lang nakalimutan. For example, halimbawa, pagtali ng sapatos. Di ba? Paano ko ba natutong magtali ng sapatos? Di ba, tinuruan ka paano matuto kang magtali ng sapatos. And nung tinuruan ka, tinandaan mo. Di ba? Again, that is memory. Ngayon, pag sinabihan ka, itali mo yung sapatos mo. Okay? Since that, in a normal person, alam mo na yon because of memory, you can do that. But for a person suffering from dementia at yung part na yon, ng memory niya ang naapektuhan, biglang nawala. Ayun, nawala yung ability niya para italing sapatos. When you command him and when you ask him to tie your shoes, okay? Alam niya na inuutusan mo siya na magtali-tali ng sapatos. But because nawala yung memory na yon, hindi na niya ngayon ma-perform yung function na yun. Ang tawag naman natin doon is apraxia. Okay? So, pangatlo, meron naman tayong tinatawag na agnosia. Pag agnosia naman, recognition naman. Okay? We are failing to recognize things. Hindi na natin matandaan yung mga things na supposedly ay natatandaan natin or familiar tayo dapat. Okay? Agnosia is the loss of the ability to recognize objects, faces, voices, or places. Okay? So, there are several types of agnosia. For example, halimbawa, yung apperceptive visual agnosia. Okay? So, causes difficulty in perceiving shapes or forms of an object. Hindi mo na ma-recognize kung ano ba ang bilog sa tatsulok. Di ba? Hindi mo na ma-recognize kung ano ba ang kudrado sa parihaba. Di ba? So, pag tinanong ka, ano ba ang shape ng bola? Hindi mo na siya ma-distinguish. Kasi nga, yung part of memory na yon that recognizes shape is gone. Nawala na. Di ba? Another type of agnosia is yung tinatawag natin associative visual agnosia naman. Pag associative visual agnosia is the inability to recall information associated with an object. This includes an object's name and knowledge of its use. So, dito naman, it's not just the shape, but the object itself. Nakakalimutan mo na. For example, this ball pen. Diba? Na normal person, alam mo na ball pen ito. Alam mo na ang ball pen ginagamit natin panulat. But, if you're suffering dementia, and ang symptoms is associative visual agnosia, pag hinawakan mo to, okay, hindi mo na alam kung ano ba tong hawak mo na to. Okay? Hindi mo na alam kung paano ba gagamitin ito. Kasi nga, even though it's a simple ball pen, but because of you lost the memory about the name and using the object itself, okay, hindi mo na alam kung paano mo siya gagamitin. So, yun tinatawag natin na associative visual agnosia. Okay, you also have your prosopagnosia. Ito naman face blindness, meaning mukha naman ngayon ay hindi mo naaalala. Ito, masakit ito kasi common ito nangyayari especially dun sa matatanda na merong dementia. Okay, yung mukha ng sarili nilang anak, hindi na nila naaalala. Okay, because of that. Because they lost the memory of the face. They cannot recognize it anymore. Diba? Parang, sino ka ba? Okay, kaano-ano ba kita? Can you imagine that? Ano? So, it's very devastating. Ano? You also have your agnostic alexia or yung pure alexia. So, inability to recognize words visually. Ito naman, yung mga words, di mo na nare-recognize. Yung mga simpleng salita, you don't recognize it anymore because you lost that memory of that word. You also have auditory verbal agnosia. Ito naman yung what you call this, parang hindi mo na naiintindihan yung native language mo. Okay? For example, halimbawa, ganito. Ito let's say you are watching a Korean novela tapos walang subtitle. And then, hindi ba, pag may mga nagsasalita dun sa Korean novela na yun, you don't understand it. Hindi mo naiintindihan kasi that's not your language. Imagine if that happens to your own language. Meaning, Pilipino ka naman, alam mo mag-Tagalog. Pero all of a sudden, nawala yung ability mo to understand even your own language. So that is auditory verbal agnosia. Okay, and you also have your tactile agnosia. Tactile agnosia naman is the inability to recognize objects by touch na yan. You don't know kung ano na yung malambot, hindi mo na alam kung ano yung matigas, you don't recognize it anymore. No? So as you can see class, when we say agnosia, we are forgetting, okay, or we are failing to recognize something that we should already know na directly related to our own senses. Okay? So, aside from agnosia, you also have confabulation. We've already talked about it before. So, pag sinabi natin confabulation, gaps in a person's memory are unconsciously filled. Okay? So yung mga bagay na nakakalimutan, ang ginagawa ng brain natin, gumagawa ng sariling kwento yan, and then yun yung kanyang pinifill up doon, even if yung memory na yun, hindi naman totoo nangyari. Ano? So it is fabricated, misinterpreted, or even distorted information. Okay, so meron din tayong tinatawag na sundown syndrome sa mga merong dementia. Pag sinabi mong sundown syndrome, pag afternoon or night, saka sila sinusumpong. Okay, pwede sila maging agitated, pwede sila maging confused, there might be some aggressiveness and even anxiety. Basta late afternoon na, gabi na, yan, sinusumpong na sila. So you also have perseveration phenomena, is the repetition of a particular response such as word, phrase, or gesture. So perseveration or perseverate, paulit-ulit yung sinasabi niya, paulit-ulit yung ginagawa niya. Ano? Even with the absence or cessation of a stimulus. You also have hyperorality. Pag sinabi mong hyperorality, a tendency or compulsion to examine objects by mouth. Ito medyo nakakaawa nito, no? Kasi ito, yung para bang nagre-regress tayo to an infantile stage. If you're going to be observing ng infant, ano ba ang gawain niya? Lahat sinusubo niya, di ba? So, ang infant kasi, pag sinusubo niya, yun yung way niya para ma-distinguish niya yung isang object through the mouth. Di ba? So, if parang nagre-regress tayo, a person with dementia regresses in that infantile stage wherein since na hindi na niya ma-recognize yung kahit na ano, sinusubo na lang niya or dinidilaan na lang niya parang isang infant. And of course, the major symptoms of your dementia is the memory loss itself. Okay. So, what else? You also have disorientation. Okay, disorientation na disoriented na yan sa time, place. Okay, hindi na niya alam kung anong araw na, kung anong oras na, and also kung nasan ba siya. Even the people around him, hindi na niya nare-recognize, disoriented na yan. Decreased ability to concentrate or to learn new material, obviously. Difficulty in making decisions because of the memory loss. And social blunders. Social blunders, nangyayari yan pag nagsasalita siya and then nagiging tactless na. Okay? Tactless na yung pananalita niya, wala na siyang pigil sa pagsasalita. Okay, yun, yung tinatawag natin na social blunders. So, that is the symptoms of dementia. Now, what are the risk factors? Sino ba yung possible na magkaroon dito? Unang-una, age. Of course, matatanda. Di ba? Alam naman natin yung term na nag-uulyanin na. Di ba? Or meron ng sakit na kalimot. Okay, so yung matatanda, yung mga seniors, mga possible, 50, 60 pataas. Yan. You also have family history of dementia, meaning pag meron kang family members, especially parents, na merong nagkaroon ng dementia, possible na magkaroon ka rin. Yung mga merong mga Down syndrome, okay, Down syndrome natin, yan, possible na magkaroon din sila ng dementia. Heavy alcohol use, yan, okay, so ingat-ingat tayo ano, sa mga pag-inom ng alak. Atherosclerosis, atherosclerosis is yung plaque formation doon sa arteries natin which can impede blood flow. Kasi ang nangyayari doon, if blood flow is impeded because of that plaque formation, what happens is nagkakaroon ng decreased oxygenation, especially in the brain, which can cause damage which may lead to dementia. Okay, you also have blood pressure, particularly yung high blood pressure. High blood pressure and also your low blood pressure, hypotension and hypertension. Ano? So, cholesterol which can be attributed also to your atherosclerosis kasi pag mataas ang cholesterol level mo, pwedeng mag-lead yan sa atherosclerosis. You also have depression which can cause dementia, diabetes, high estrogen levels, obesity, and also smoking. So, those are the risk factors for your dementia. Okay. Now, how about complications? If a person is suffering already from dementia, ano ba yung mga probable or possible complications sa sumunod? Number one is inadequate nutrition. Siyempre, nag-uulyanin na yan. Parang to the point na nahihirapan na siyang alagaan yung sarili niya. So, pati yung pagkain na apektuhan. So, therefore, possible of inadequate nutrition. And also, reduced hygiene. Gaya nga na sinabi ko, hindi na niya naaalagaan yung sarili niya. Diba? Difficulty taking medications because of failure to take care of him or herself. Deterioration of emotional health. Okay. Difficulty communicating because of loss of memory. There is also delusions and hallucinations. Sometimes, pag nagkakaroon niya ng regression, kung sino-sino na nakikita niya, kung ano-ano na nakikita niya. Ano? There's also sleep difficulties, nahihirapan niyang matulog. Okay? Personal safety challenges is also a concern. Ano? Okay. Okay, pag-usapan naman natin yung Alzheimer's disease. So, Alzheimer's disease is the most common type actually of dementia, no? Very common ito. So, ano ba yung tinatawag natin na Alzheimer's disease? So, basically, Alzheimer's disease is a degenerative brain disorder. So, pag sinabi natin degenerative brain disorder, palala siya ng palala ng palala. Okay? At ang nakakalungkot sa Alzheimer's disease, it is irreversible. Okay? If a person suffers from Alzheimer's disease, there is no known treatment. Lalala siya ng unti-unti. Ano? It has an unknown etiology. It's the most common form of dementia that usually starts in late to middle age or in old age. Result in progressive memory loss, kagaya ng binanggit ko kanina, palala siya ng palala, unti-unting nawawala yung memorya niya, impaired thinking, disorientation, and even changes in personality and mood. So there is a degeneration of brain neurons, especially in the cerebral cortex, okay, and presence of neurofibrillary tangles and plaques containing beta-amyloid cells. So later on, pag-usapan natin yung kanyang pathophysiology para mas maintindihan natin bakit ba nagkakaroon ng memory loss ang isang tao na mayroong Alzheimer's disease. Okay, so what are the possible causes? Una, neurochemical factors. So, involved na naman dito yung acetylcholine natin, somatostatin, and also norepinephrine. When it comes to the environmental factors naman, cigarette smoking, yan, infections, mga metals or industrial toxins, and even yung mga cholesterol-lowering drugs, yung mga statin natin, mga simvastatin, yan, that might cause also Alzheimer's. Toxin model, salts of aluminum, may be a contributing factor also. So for the risk factors naman, sino yung at risk na magkaroon ng Alzheimer's? So Down syndrome, kagaya sa dementia natin kanina. Family history, namamana siya. So person that has chronic high blood pressure, yan. Okay, head injuries, possible due to accident. Gender, female ang kadalasan nagkakaroon ng Alzheimer's. And also smoking. Heavy smoking and heavy drinking can lead to Alzheimer's. Okay? So, what is a pathophysiology? So, ano ba yung pathophysiology niya? Unang-una, Alzheimer's disease attacks nerves and brain cells as well as neurotransmitter. No? So, if you're going to imagine the brain cells, di ba meron siyang neurotransmitter. Ito mga neurotransmitter na to is responsible for the transmission and communication all throughout our brain and also in the body. Okay, diba? So, nagkakaroon ng destruction of these parts na nagkakos ng clumps of protein to form around the brain cells. Okay? So, these clumps are known as plaques and bundles. The presence of the plaques and bundles start to destroy more connection between the brain cells, which makes the condition even worse. So, if you're going to take a look at this, okay? So, yung puti na yun, yung amyloid plaque. Okay? I'm sorry. Yung amyloid plaque na yun, yung kulay puti na yun. So, it's made up of protein, okay, na tumigas, na bumabalot doon sa mga neurotransmitter natin, disrupting the transmission of electrical signal. And unti-unti siyang dumadami, unti-unti siyang kumakalat. At yun yung cause, kaya siya nagiging progressive or degenerating. Okay? So, what are the 5 A's to Alzheimer's diagnosis? So, pag sa Alzheimer's, meron tayong tinatawag na anomia. Dagdag ko na lang, anomia, no? Inability to remember names of things. Hindi na niya maalala kung ano yung tawag sa mga bagay-bagay. Apraxia, which I've already talked before. Misuse of objects because of failure to identify them. You also have the agnosia, inability to recognize familiar objects, taste, sounds, and other sensations. You also have amnesia, which is memory loss na nga. And yung aphasia naman, yung language naman yung naaapektuhan. Ano? So, for a person suffering from Alzheimer's disease, there is decreased judgment, decreased concentration, and even decreased attention. Okay? So, what are the symptoms of Alzheimer's? So, isa-isayin natin. Unang-una, there is difficulty performing familiar tasks, routine, and chores. Of course, hindi na niya kasi alam kung paano niya ipaperform yun kasi nalimutan na niya. For example, hindi na niya alam kung paano maglaba kasi nalimutan na niya yun. Okay? O hindi na niya alam kung paano magluto kasi nalimutan niya na yun. Okay? Mga basic tasks, ano? There's also drastic changes in personality. Usually, ang mga pasyente na mayroong Alzheimer, they can be very irritable. Kasi, they are trying to remember pero hindi nila maalala and they frustrate them. That's why they can be very irritable. Okay? So, misplacing things in appropriate places. So, mga bagay na kung saan nila lalagay. For example, sapatos niya, nilagay niya sa ref. Tapos, hindi niya maalala kung saan niya nilagay. Nasa ref pala. Okay? You also have problems with abstract thinking. Okay? Poor or decreased judgment na sila because of memory loss. Disorientation to time and place. They don't know kung anong araw na, kung nasaan sila. Problems in speaking, reading, writing, and understanding. So, eto, pag meron na siyang aphasia. Okay? Ganyan. Forgetting words or substituting inappropriate words. Confabulations na yan. Memory loss and changes in memory. Yun, yung confabulation. Okay? So, those are the symptoms of Alzheimer's. So, what are the stages? So, for Alzheimer's, meron tayong tatlong stages. You have your mild, moderate, and also your severe. For mild, it lasts around 2 to 4 years. It is only marked by minor memory loss. Okay, long-term memory and some reasoning remain intact. Okay, usually mga short-term lang nawawala rito, no? Minor memory loss lang. Patient may be aware of their decline and hide it well. Para hindi mo sila mahalata na mayroong Alzheimer kasi mild lang naman. And hindi naman ganun kalala yung memory loss na nangyayari sa kanila. You also have moderate. So moderate lasts 2 to 10 years. Patients experiences withdrawal, confusion, increasing difficulty in self-care and daily tasks, poor judgment and difficulty communicating. Can you imagine, moderate pa lang yun, ano? Pero disruptive na talaga yung day-to-day life niya. Even self-care is going to be very difficult. There's also behavioral changes. Okay, kagaya nga na sinabi ko, nakakaaramdam sila ng frustration, restlessness, di ba? Irritable, anger, and even anxiety. Ano? Caregiver assistance become increasingly necessary. And of course, you have your severe, excuse me, it usually lasts 1 to 3 years. Patients are completely incapacitated, retreat into themselves, and will not eat unless fed. Ito na talaga. Ito na yung pinakagrabe. Hindi na talaga nila kayang alagaan yung sarili nila. Patients may not speak and do not recognize people, even family members. There's already loss of bodily function control. Okay, yung paglulon, yung pagdumi, pag-ihi, wala nang control. Okay? Violent episodes and aggressions are also very common. Okay, so those are the stages of your Alzheimer's disease. Okay, so ano ba yung natin? Ano ba yung intervention natin for clients with dementia? No? So generalize natin dementia, kasama na doon yung mga merong Alzheimer's. So unang-una, focus on demonstrating caring and keeping the client involved. Okay, use of reframing technique in which the nurse offers alternative points of view to explain events. So simplify lang natin yung mga yung mga instructions and information na binibigay natin sa pasyente. Okay, importante, promoting client safety because they can be yung safety nila can be very challenging. You know? Promote adequate sleep, proper nutrition, and hygiene activity. So, even if nakailangan na talaga yung full assistance natin, we still have to provide it. Structuring environment and routine, gawa natin siya ng schedule. Okay, gawin yung schedule. Providing emotional support, promoting interaction and involvement, and of course, respond to cognitive deficits. Okay. So that's it. So thank you for listening.